I'm feeling a little sassy today. Hey y'all, this is Tasha. Welcome back to my channel, Amazing Reads. Today I'm coming here with my end of the month wrap up. In the second half of the month I was able to finish 8 books, so let's go ahead and talk about them. The first book that I finished in the second half of the month is Queenie. Queenie is a story about a young lady named Queenie who just recently broke up with her boyfriend and she's having a really hard time accepting that. So she goes out and she just does a lot of somewhat destructive behaviors, like sleeping around, leaving herself emotionally vulnerable, which, you know, is not necessarily a bad thing. And with the help of her friends, they kind of help her work through it. She has some family issues and other things. So my thoughts on this are that Queenie is not the most likable character at all. None of the people in this book are really likable. And it was sold to me as a Black Bridget Jones diary, which I can see the similarities in those. But overall, this was just like a 3.5 star for me. I didn't love it. The writing was great, and I will read more from this author. But this particular story didn't really resonate with me. I really wanted to like just slap Queenie and have her snap out of it, but she was a mess. But I get it. Like, we've all, I'm not gonna say we've all been there, but we've been there. So this is Queenie by Candace Carty-Williams, and I gave it a 3.5 star. Next book that I was able to complete in the second half of July. Did I say June earlier? No, I said July. Anyway, that book is Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Stickland. This is a dark fantasy story that the main character's name is Kamai. And basically Kamai and her mother are soul walkers, and basically that just means that they can walk in other people's souls. She's always been told that she is not to that she does not have a soul, but even though she's able to soul walk, and there's always a black door that shows up when Kamai is soul walking, and her mom has always told her to leave that black door alone. Like, don't go behind it. You don't want to know what's behind it. That's kind of where the story takes place. I enjoyed this. It was a 4-star for me. It's a very, very dark fantasy that stars an asexual main character. I did really enjoy the discussions on asexuality in this book, and also in transgender discussions that were had in this book. There is a trans character in here. I like the way that it was normalized. I like the way that it was just a part of them, how people understood, and it wasn't anything that needed a huge discussion, but I did like the way that that was presented. I also liked the political machinations in here. I really love political fantasies. They are my absolute favorite thing. One of my favorite fantasies is the Williams Chima, the 7 Realms series, because of the political machinations. So there's just all this stuff going on in this world. There's so many things happening. There's so many moving pieces, but I never once felt confused while I was reading it. So I really did enjoy this story. It's not for every fantasy reader, but I definitely would recommend this to people who do like a darker fantasy with a mysterious air to it, and who like political machinations. So this is Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Stickland. The next book that I read is The Black Cakes by Christina Hammonds Reed. I did a full review for this that I will link down below. I was a part of the blog tour for it. This is a story that takes place in 1992, right after the Rodney King beatings, and the trial is in place. The story really takes off for our main character, Ashley, after the police officers are acquitted. She's trying to navigate her affluent white neighborhood, and how she fits into that, and how she deals with the microaggressions and everything. I talk a whole lot more about it in the individual review, so I won't go too deep into it. Overall, I really did enjoy this story. It is a great conversation starter, and I definitely would recommend you pick this up to read. I think that it is worth the read. The next book that I read is hands down my favorite book of the month. It was completely unexpected. I had 2 false starts with this book, once on audio and once on ebook, and it didn't grab me. But for some reason, you know how you have the right book at the right time? That's exactly what this was, and I absolutely flew through this book, and it's worth all the hype. And that book is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. I read it from the library, but somebody got me the box set for my birthday, so thank you to my friend Lisa. Anyway, this is a fantasy science fiction where we follow 3 perspectives and 3 different timelines. In this world, there's always a 5th season that happens that can last a couple years, 100 years, they don't know, but it's kind of like a world reset. We follow the 3 perspectives. One of the perspectives is written in second person, so it's like you are the one that's doing it. I really don't jive with second person. However, in this book, it was done so well, and the significance of it being in second person was so evident that I really did enjoy it. Something else in this is that I'm not going to pretend like I understood it from the jump. Probably for the first, I'm going to say 40% of the book, I was just like, where's this going? Like, what is going on? But I was so compelled by the writing and how things were unfolding that I absolutely needed to know what was going to happen. And then when the plot reveals started dropping and things started coming together and coalescing, this was amazing. And the ending was completely unexpected. I mean, I put on Twitter the other day, I was like, when a plot twist is too good, I throw the book. It's a reflex. I'll be reading, I'll be like, ah. So the first plot twist that happened in this one, I almost chunked the book across the room because I was just like, oh my gosh, I did not see that coming. Totally makes sense. You know, like, it was amazing. This is worth all the hype. It's not a fantasy for everyone. I am going to say that you need to get probably, like I said, 40% in before you really kind of understand and things start coming together. It's not, but you're going to be compelled to read it because the writing is so good. This is worth all the Hugo Awards it's won, all of the accolades it's getting. This is just a fantastic fantasy book. I haven't continued the series. I plan on doing that soon. But I definitely highly recommend this book. And I think that everybody, we need to all be reading Jemisin because her writing is amazing. Her storytelling is amazing. World building, plotting, amazing. So, okay, I'm done gushing about this. But this is the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and go read it. The next book that I finished was Starsight by Sanderson. This is the 2nd book in the Skyward series. I don't know how many books it's going to be. This is a young adult sci-fi series that follows Spencer, whose father was branded a coward, and she has been trying to overcome that so that she could become a pilot in this world. A bunch of things happened in the first book. The 2nd book is more so like a spy plot where Spencer goes and she pretends to be somebody else. She gathers some information. I really did enjoy this. I really do like Sanderson's world building. It is worth all the hype. It's amazing. It's very good. I also like Spencer. She really grew on me in this book. I found her very annoying in the first book, but in this 2nd one, she really grew on me, and her sarcasm and her attitude were really something that I did enjoy more in the 2nd book. It was just, there was so much, and then the ending was very good, and I'm excited to see what happens next and where the story goes, because there's so many different ways that this can go off, and I'm curious to see how he's going to wrap it up for however many books are in this series. But that's Starsight by Sanderson. With my scary self, who has to turn on all the lights when she leaves her room to go to the kitchen, I read my first horror book. And it was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This I listened to on audio, and it was amazing. I was so compelled. This is the kind of story, let me talk about what it's about. So it's about a group of women who are in a book club, and then this mysterious man comes to their small town. It's set in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And this mysterious man comes to this little white town, and they don't know who he is or what he is. And then the strange stuff starts happening. Some very vampire-like things start happening, and the women are trying to figure out what's going on. This kind of horror is more like gross out horror, so I could totally handle it. I don't really do spirit horror, but anyway, beside the point. This was so good. I listened to this audiobook in like a day and a half. Like, I went to work, I didn't talk to anybody, I had my audiobook in, did my work, listened to the audiobook the whole day. I absolutely love this. Also, there's talks in here about the difference between missing white kids and missing black kids. There's a series of black kids who go missing. I believe this is related to the disappearance of black children in Atlanta, even though this takes place in South Carolina, and about how the media didn't care about these missing black children. And this is kind of the same thing that's going. It's a very insular community where outsiders do come in to like clean and stuff, but they don't, it's performative, they don't care in real life. So that's what this kind of tackles. It also tackles the way that women were treated back then, and how people perceive housewives as just stupid and needing something to do and bored, and how they're less likely to listen to what they're saying. And those discussions were done very well, in my opinion. This is not for somebody with a weak stomach, but I really, really did enjoy this horror book. I can't believe I enjoyed it. It was amazing. I was able to sleep at night, so it worked. The book that I listened to was Homie by Danez Smith. This is a poetry collection. The real name is something else, but y'all are going to call it Homie. This was powerful and amazing and so well done, and it talks about the black experience, and it talks about sexuality, and it talks about growing up and things like that. It's good. It's about 96 pages, less than 100 pages. It's totally worth the read. I really want to listen to his first poetry collection. Him reading it really added the extra layer to the story, so I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm so glad that I listened to it. I got it from Hoopla at the library. I think that the audiobook is less than 2 hours. It's totally worth your time if you can get your hands on it. The last book that I read in the month of July was A Phoenix First Must Burn by Patrice Caldwell. This is a collection of short stories by black female authors, female or non-binary authors, excuse me, that are just different fantasy sci-fi stories starring black people in the leads. Like, it was amazing. I think my favorite story was Patrice Caldwell's story. It was a sapphic vampire tale. I loved it. I love vampires though, but I could read like a whole series of that story. I also enjoyed E.B. Zaboy's story. It was, what's it called? Kiss the Sun. And it had to do with, I want to say Jamaican or Haitian folklore. This is so good. This is so worth your time. This is so worth reading. This is so worth putting in the hands of other black children for them to see themselves in fantasy stories as the lead, and to get different mythologies and folklores also. I found myself researching things and looking things up. This is just such a well put together collection. I really, really enjoyed it. I have heard people talk about it. Nobody's really gushed about it, but I think it should be gushed about. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I am so glad that I finally read it. And I did really, really enjoy this collection of short stories. Overall, it was like a 4-star for me. There were some that I liked more than others. There's some authors in here that I absolutely love, like Samaya Dowd, Elizabeth Acevedo, Danielle Clayton. I like their writing style, so whatever they wrote, I knew that I was going to enjoy. But definitely, if you need something to kind of break up your reading throughout the month, I would definitely suggest this, A Phoenix First Must Burn. I read a total of 14 books, which is one of my best reading months this year. I enjoyed everything that I read overall, so I'm going to count this month as a success. That's all that I have for this video today. If you want to like, comment, or subscribe, please do. I love comments. I love responding to comments. I've recently got over 100 subscribers. I almost have 150 now, which is crazy because I really only thought my brother and my best friends were going to watch it. So 4 people. And so thank you all so much for the support. That's everything that I have for today. The links for everything will be down below. I will list all the books in the description box below. I don't have anything else, so I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.